Right now, new allegations against the president as his impeachment trial is set to begin in the Senate. We'll break it down for you.
And the latest Marquette Law School poll is telling us more about where Wisconsinites stand ahead of this year's election.
Plus, staff at Beloit schools are meeting today to discuss their future after accusations against their superintendent.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now this morning.
Good morning, folks, and thanks for joining us on your Thursday, January 16th. I'm Leah Lynchide.
And I'm Josh Brighter. If you're not awake yet, just listen to Hattie's forecast this morning.
I'll wake you up, slap you across the face.
That might make you want to pull the covers right over your head
my.
because it is cold outside. You know, we've been kind of spoiled the last few weeks with pretty relatively mild conditions for winter here in Wisconsin, but not the case this morning. Temperatures are still falling. We're down to 7. We have a west-northwesterly wind at 8, so our wind chill is 6 below here in Madison. I guess the good news about the forecast today is that we'll have some sunshine. Skies are clear right now. Take a look at current wind chills across the area. Some of the coldest numbers are west of Dane County this morning, where we're seeing double-digit below zero numbers. 15 below in Lone Rock, 16 below in Platteville and Prairie du Chien. Here's a look at your wind chill forecast through the day today. Wind chills will climb above zero for a couple of hours this afternoon, but looks like it's still going to even be below zero by the lunch hour today. So bundle up as you head out the door. Here's a look at your first alert traffic report this morning. We're not seeing any major issues in the Madison area, just starting to get a little busier on the Beltline at the 6 o'clock hour. No other issues, though, to report in and around Dane County at this time. Coming up, we will talk about this storm system. I feel like we've been talking about it all week, but it's set to arrive tomorrow, and it does look like we're going to get some more snow, so you will be shoveling either Friday night or Saturday.
Ooh, and it's supposed to get cold Sunday, so you're going to want to shovel.
Yeah, maybe before temperatures drop too much.
Exactly. All right, thank you, Hattie.
You're welcome.
Right now, there are new allegations against the president this morning surrounding his involvement with Ukraine.
Those details come out just as the Senate prepares for President Trump's impeachment trial. CBS's Naomi Ruckham has the latest.
It was all about Joe Biden, Hunter Biden.
Lev Parnas, an associate of Rudy Giuliani, told MSNBC that President Trump knew about the effort to pressure Ukraine to investigate the Bidens.
President Trump knew exactly what was going on.
Parnas said U.S. aid was withheld as he, Giuliani, and others demanded action.
I wouldn't do anything without the consent of Rudy Giuliani or the president.
Parnas didn't speak directly with the president about the scheme, but claims multiple members of the administration were aware, including Vice President Mike Pence.
Everybody was in the loop. Bolton, 100%. Attorney General Barr was basically on the team.
The Justice Department called the allegation 100% false. Parnas is currently out on bond after pleading not guilty on unrelated campaign finance charges. He now wants to testify in the impeachment trial. His interview came on the same day the House signed off on sending the 2 articles of impeachment to the Senate.
I could use some good lawyers, right? Yeah, to hell with it. I just have to suffer through it the way I have all my life.
7 Democrats will serve as impeachment managers. That includes Colorado's Jason Crosse.
So what our country needs right now is people that are willing to step up and defend the rule of law, defend our Constitution, and do the right thing.
The White House does not believe any new witnesses should be called.
The whole process has been proven to this point to be a sham and illegitimate.
Opening arguments in the trial are set to begin Tuesday. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News.
Wisconsin Senator Tammy Baldwin tells us she's committed to hearing a full-fledged, honest trial that includes witnesses and documents.
We take an oath of office at the beginning of our terms to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. We will take an additional oath, essentially like an oath of a juror, where we swear to do impartial justice. And that's exactly what I intend to do during the course of this impeachment trial.
Republican Senator Ron Johnson joined President Trump at his campaign rally in Milwaukee Tuesday, where the president once again called the impeachment a hoax. Senator Johnson told the crowd that the president has weathered unrelenting abuse since his election.
Some Democratic presidential candidates are taking a break from the campaign trail to participate in that impeachment trial. Senators Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and Amy Klobuchar will all hear the case against the president. This comes less than a month before the Iowa caucuses. A new Marquette Law School poll shows Joe Biden as the top choice among Wisconsin primary voters. 23% picked the former vice president as their first choice. 19% chose Sanders and 15% chose Pete Buttigieg. However, 60% of those primary voters say there's still a chance they could change their mind.
Once Iowa votes, there will be a real scramble of the standings. As New Hampshire votes following that, that will perhaps restore someone or perhaps completely sink someone. So what I'm saying is...
The poll also included hypothetical general election matchups against President Trump. All show close races within the poll's margin of error, with Biden and Sanders as the only two candidates projected to win Wisconsin over the president.
Milwaukee Mayor Tom Barrett is requesting a $50 million grant to cover safety costs ahead of the Democratic National Convention. He says the city's response to hosting the Bucs game at the same time as President Trump's rally is a good example of what can be done when everyone works together.
People knew what to expect. And I think the more all of us collectively can let people know what to expect, people can adapt.
Mayor Barrett says no city can be expected to host an event as big as the DNC and be left to foot the bill. The grant would cover proposed costs for police officers, firefighters, and personnel from local and neighboring areas.
More local news now. A veto by Governor Eavers will stand despite efforts from Republican lawmakers this morning. The bill would have lessened the number of training hours needed to become a nursing assistant from 120 hours down to half, 75. Republicans said that change would have helped with a shortage in the field. Democrats argue it would impact quality of care. 3 Democrats would have had to side with Republicans for that veto to be overruled.
More than 100 Wisconsin firefighters are continuing to lobby for a bill that they say will save lives. We first told you about the bill last week, which would remove barriers for public safety officers to get workers' compensation for PTSD. Right now, the bill only covers police officers and firefighters, not full-time EMS workers, something paramedics would like included.
A second round of grants is now available to replace Madison Metro buses thanks to fines Volkswagen paid for cheating on its emissions tests. $20 million will go toward replacing aging diesel buses with new, more efficient buses around the state. In total, Wisconsin's getting more than $67 million over a 10-year span to offset the excess pollution that Volkswagen had caused.
2 bills designed to prevent the spread of Lyme's disease are headed to Governor Eavers' desk. One bill would require the DNR to post Lyme's disease warnings in state parks, forests, and recreational areas. The other would require the DNR to sell insect repellent at state parks and forests. They both passed the Senate in October, and now Governor Eavers can either sign them into law or veto them.
Ice fishers, you're going to want to make sure you're throwing out any fish you caught from Lake Monona or Starkweather Creek. A recent DNR sampling found elevated levels of PFAS in fish tissue and surface water at those locations. The DNR says the more contaminated fish you eat, the higher your risk for health problems.
Promising news for farmers this morning as the U.S. and China work towards a trade agreement. President Trump and China are signing a preliminary trade agreement, which includes a commitment from China to substantially increase the amount of goods and services it buys from America. That includes billions of dollars in agricultural purchases over the next 2 years. Current tariffs on Chinese products will remain in place for the time being.
6:08 on your Thursday. Still ahead this morning. A month after a situation where students shot their peers with BB guns, we're now learning about another incident involving students at Jefferson Middle School. We'll tell you how the district is responding.
But first, you're feeling wind chills in the negatives this morning, and more alert days are on the way as snow is in the forecast. Hattie's updating us next on News 3 Now this morning.
Good morning from the patio. It is very cold outside this morning. Quite a change from 24 hours ago. Temperatures are down in the single digits, wind chills even lower. So let's get right to those numbers this morning. Show you what it feels like outside. 6 below here in Madison is our wind chill. West of Dane County, though, those wind chills are in the double digits below zero. And your wind chill forecast through the day today doesn't call for a lot of improvement. Now, we will have clear skies, but it'll feel like it's around 10 below as you step out the door this morning at 7 o'clock. So make sure the kids are bundled up as they head to school this morning. By the lunch hour, wind chills are still below zero across southern Wisconsin. We'll climb above zero for just a couple of hours during the afternoon, but that's it. Already quickly dropping back below zero this evening. So had a cold 24 hours ahead for us here in southern Wisconsin. As I mentioned, those skies are clearing. Take a look at weather track. At 2 o'clock, we had clouds in the area, but now at 6 o'clock, we have mostly clear skies. So sunrise is at 7:25 this morning. We should see a nice, pretty sunrise for southern Wisconsin. The sunshine isn't going to stick around for too long, though. A storm system already moving in tomorrow. Snow will develop Friday afternoon and continue into Friday night and Saturday. Confidence is increasing, though, that for southern Wisconsin, we're likely going to see a mix or even a changeover to rain for a time overnight Friday night. Winter storm watches have been posted for southwestern Wisconsin in advance of this particular storm system. They'll start tomorrow afternoon. Here's a look at your future track forecast model. Now, it's not likely that we're going to see snow in the morning, so the commute to work should be just fine. Through the afternoon, I would expect snow to start to develop, though, from west to east, so that could impact the evening commute tomorrow as you head home from work. Snow will continue into the evening hours, but then watch what happens overnight into early Saturday. Some of that rain and mixed precipitation noses its way into southern Wisconsin, so that will cut down on snow totals for some and also create problems with a little bit of ice accumulation. It all turns back to snow and comes to an end late Saturday afternoon. Here's a look at the current snow forecast. We're looking at a general 2 to 6 inch snow total for southern Wisconsin. Looking like the highest snow totals are going to be to the north and west, where they're not looking at any rain. Now, temperatures this morning are very cold. We're in the single digits above zero here, below zero, though, in the Northwoods. You take a look at your future track forecast model. What you will see on this map is lots of clear skies. Skies are expected to stay mostly sunny through the day. By lunchtime, only around 11, topping at 15 today, but dropping back pretty quickly this evening. Temperatures overnight will be in the single digits, close to zero tomorrow morning, but warm to a high of 28 with that snow spreading in the afternoon. And then it all winds down by Saturday. Next week, though, looking pretty darn cold as we look at highs in the teens and nighttime lows below zero. Now let's get a look at your traffic report this morning. We'll send it over to Stacy K for all the details. Good morning, Stacy.
Good morning. It's a nice quiet start on the Beltline today. Nothing to slow you down in either direction at this point. Checking out other roads here in Dane County, just the usual slowdowns on Stoughton approaching the Beltline. No delays downtown on East Washington yet. And other main routes heading into Madison, cruising along at the posted speeds. No crashes or delays. With your first alert traffic, I'm Stacy K.
All right. Thank you, Stacy, and thank you, Hattie. The U.S. Virgin Islands is filing a lawsuit this morning against the estate of Jeffrey Epstein. The lawsuit says the multimillionaire sex offender used his private islands there to traffic and abuse girls for nearly 2 decades. Prosecutors want to confiscate hundreds of millions of dollars, as well as 2 private islands valued at $86 million. More local news now. Board members from a local school district will hold a special meeting today to discuss the potential resignation of their superintendent.
New details surfaced about Beloit Superintendent Dr. Stanley Monroe and his behavior towards staff and administration. A former employee we spoke with, who wants to stay anonymous, is describing it as hostile and intimidating. Should he be out of his position today, it's not clear who would take his place in an interim role. The search for the next superintendent of Madison schools is drawing to a close. We've now heard from 2 of the finalists for the position. The most recent, Dr. Matthew Gutierrez, the current superintendent of the Seguin Independent School District in Texas.
I've taught middle school English language arts. I have served as a middle school assistant principal, an elementary principal, have worked in human resources, served as an interim superintendent, and a superintendent of schools.
Gutierrez, along with Dr. Marguerite Vanden Wingard, have both spoken with families at East High about their vision for the district. And tonight, you now have the chance to hear from Dr. George Eric Thomas at La Falls High School to hear more about his plans. That starts at 6 o'clock.
Another school district facing accusations this morning. A 17-year-old is suing Baraboo schools, saying the district ignored claims of racial harassment and sexual assault. The lawsuit mentions dozens of instances in which the plaintiff and her mom reported the cases to staff. According to the documents filed, the harassment started when the now teenager was in first grade and continued through middle and high school. Baraboo's superintendent is responding with a statement saying the district has not been served with a lawsuit, and if they do, there would be no comment until a review and advisement from legal counsel.
We're learning more about another incident at Jefferson Middle School this morning. Assistant Principal Larry Love tells parents in an email that there was a conflict between two students at school yesterday. Emergency responders were called, and he says the incident happened at a smaller learning environment away from most students, so there was no school-wide disruption. You'll remember Jefferson Middle School was at the center of an incident where two students were shot with a BB gun by one of their peers. Love cites the recent challenges facing the school district in the email, saying, given the recent challenges Jefferson staff and families have been working through together, I wanted to make sure that I am being as transparent as possible with you. He also notes that they're working to make sure the students and families involved are being supported and the appropriate consequences will be made.
Around the state, a new ordinance will replace all lead service lines in Eau Claire to limit the risk of tainting the area's water supply. Over the next 15 years, both public and private lead pipes will be swapped out, some of which are more than 100 years old. The ordinance will also provide funding for homeowners to replace their own pipes using federal grants. The average price of a replacement, right around $2,400. Lead exposure is known to cause brain and nervous system damage, and in some cases can lead to death.
Racine's mayor is declaring a state of emergency this morning after last weekend's storm caused major damage on the city's lakefront. Mayor Cory Mason is asking for state and federal assistance so local leaders can assess the damage and put a price and plan together. Mayor Mason expects repairs to cost millions of dollars, but right now it's too early to tell. He says climate change is contributing to some of the weather and the damage it's causing, and that leaders need to take this seriously.
6:19 now. Coming up, wet weather is improving air quality in Australia, but there are still hundreds, if not thousands, of animals injured by those wildfires. We'll tell you how volunteers are working to help them heal.
And this Thursday feels a lot more like a Burrs Day.
Good one.
Patty has wind chills below zero at the bus stop when News 3 Now This Morning continues. Welcome back. Live look outside at 6:22 this morning. It looks nice, but it sure isn't.
I might be a little too excited about the fact that we have sun in the forecast today, but we were talking, when was the last time we had to wear sunglasses?
I don't even know where my sunglasses are right now.
Well, it is winter.
Well, you better find
Yeah, but there's still some sun in the winter. It's
that
not like the
glare-
sun just goes away.
That glare off the snow, man. You
That's
definitely need it
true,
later
that's true.
today. It will be sunny today. That's the best news, but one of those days where it looks nice outside, but it feels pretty uncomfortable. Take a look at our current temperatures. 7 here in Madison. Platteville, you're down to 0. Prairie du Chien, you haven't found the bottom yet either. 2 below right now. So it is very cold outside. Wind chills are in the double digits below 0 in many locations. We feel like 6 below here in Madison, 16 below in the Dells. Prairie du Chien and Platteville, you're close to 20 below as well with that wind chill this morning. Your wind chill forecast through the day calls for wind chills still below 0 through about 1 o'clock this afternoon. We'll climb into positive territory for just a couple of hours, but barely. Wind chills stay in the single digits above 0. So what does that mean at the bus stop? You'll have to make sure the kids have all the layers. Remind them to grab the hat, mittens, scarf, whatever you need today. Temperatures will be very cold, but at least we have the sunshine in our forecast. Coming up, we're talking about the impacts for this next storm. Looks like a moderate impact around the area with some ice possible as well as some snow. You're going to want to clear your driveway and sidewalk for the second part of the weekend.
Patty, there is a new temporary animal hospital going up in Australia this morning to help treat more than 300 injured animals. Over a third of those animals are koalas who've been treated for varying degrees of severe burns. More than 100 vets, rescuers, and volunteers have gathered to help provide medical attention to those animals in need.
The main animals we're seeing are koalas, but we've treated kangaroos, wallabies, possums and birds, and reptiles, and even some domestic animals as well.
It is estimated that nearly 500 million animals have been killed in the wildfires.
New information this morning, 2019 was officially the second hottest year on record. NASA and NOAA scientists announced their findings at the annual Global Climate Assessment. 2016 still holds the top spot for the hottest year in the 140 years that NOAA has been keeping record.
It's a new decade for space exploration, and 2 women had the distinction of performing the first spacewalk of 2020. NASA astronauts Jessica Meyer and Christina Koch made the walk to replace solar panel batteries outside of the International Space Station. They are the same astronauts who made history back in October when they successfully completed the first all-female spacewalk. Such a cool story.
That is awesome. A lot of happy Badger fans now say that they've met the NCAA champions. The Wisconsin Athletic Department at Madison Parks hosted a team meet and greet with the Wisconsin women's hockey team at Vilas Park. Players signed jerseys, took pictures, and talked with fans. Bucky Badger was even there to join in on the fun.
Any event with Bucky Badger is an event I'll sign up for.
It is a hoot.
All right, still ahead this morning, we have the top 3 things you need to know to get your Thursday started.
And 26 people are in custody this morning after a drug bust in Milwaukee. We're learning more about the drug distribution network when News 3 Now This Morning is back.
Bring your
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now this morning.
Good morning and welcome back on this Thursday, January 16th rather. I'm Josh Ryder.
Don't get ahead of yourself. I'm Leah Lynchad. Let's get straight to your top 3 headlines this morning. Board members from the Beloit School District will hold a special meeting today to talk about the potential resignation of their new superintendent. New details surfaced about Dr. Stanley Monroe and his behavior towards staff and administration. It's not clear who would take over if he is removed.
Chief Justice John Roberts will swear in senators today as jurors in the impeachment trial of President Trump. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi signed a resolution sending the 2 articles of impeachment to the Senate. The House voted largely along party lines to deliver the articles and approve 7 Democrats as impeachment managers. They will serve as prosecutors in the Senate trial set to begin in earnest early next week.
And a new Marquette Law School poll shows Joe Biden as the top choice for Wisconsin's primary voters. 23% picked the former vice president as their first choice. 19% chose Bernie Sanders and 15% chose Pete Buttigieg. However, 60% of those primary voters say there is still a chance they could change their mind.
Those are your top 3 things you need to know in the news world, and Hattie's here now with your January 16th forecast.
Yeah, it definitely feels like January 16th, guys. We're talking wind chill factor this morning, your shoe forecast, really anything that's going to keep your feet warm today. Temperatures are near 0. Wind chills are in the double digits below 0. And if you're like me, you'll just add the wool socks as well. Can never have feet that are too warm. Take a look at our wind chills early this morning. It feels like 6 below here in Madison, 16 below in the Dells, 18 below in Prairie du Chien. That's the cold spot this morning. As you head out the door, look for clear skies, so don't forget those sunglasses early today. Temperatures aren't going to warm much, though. We're talking highs just in the mid-teens this afternoon. Now here's a look at your first alert traffic maps. We'll take a peek at the Madison area roads. Get a little busier on the Beltline at Stoughton Road. That's pretty typical for this time of the morning. No major delays though. Looks like you're still going at posted speeds as you head into Madison. Coming up, we'll talk more about that forecast heading into the upcoming weekend. You know when you see a lot of red on that car wash forecast that the weather isn't going to be great. We'll talk about snow chances and mixed precipitation coming up.
Hattie, thank you. 6:31 right now. Middleton will be soon naming its new police chief. Out of 31 applicants, they're down to 3 candidates to replace former Chief Charles Folk, who retired last month. Troy Hellenbrand is the current captain of the Middleton Police Department and has been with them for the past 25 years. Kevin Warwick is currently in his 18th year with the Green Bay Police Department, and Ken Clary is in his 25th year with the Iowa State Patrol. All of them got to speak on why they were deserving of the job and the things that they would make a top priority if chosen as chief.
I have a strong understanding of what it takes to be chief. I believe the totality of my experience leads me here today. My leadership in public nonprofit organizations, as well as a 20-year business owner through my education, have prepared me to be the leader to lead here in Middleton.
I think the biggest challenge facing all law enforcement agencies now is about community engagement, establishing trust and legitimacy and respect in your community.
School safety has and will continue to be a top priority of mine no matter what role I play in the police department in the future.
The Police Commission and council members went into closed session to make their decision and are expected to make a public announcement sometime next week.
We are waiting on a press conference today to learn more about 26 arrests made in a major drug bust here in Wisconsin. Those people are implicated in a drug distribution network out of Milwaukee. A 231-page criminal complaint details how distributors would receive packages of cocaine from Puerto Rico, then supply them to people in Milwaukee to sell. They then collect that drug money and mail it back to the island.
It's really scary because, my family lives around here,
The U.S. Postal Service intercepted some of those packages. Authorities were able to gather evidence using confidential informants and tapped phone lines over a period of a year and a half. A press conference on those arrests starts at 9 this morning.
Developing this morning, Dane County deputies are working to track down the driver involved in a hit and run that killed a 26-year-old Mount Horeb man. It happened on County Highway JG just south of Bergham Road in the town of Bounds. Witnesses reported seeing the victim running in the area moments before the crash. As of now, police don't have a vehicle description.
Rock County residents are voicing their concerns over a dangerous intersection near downtown Janesville. The city decided to pull out streetlights at the corner of Jackson and Court Street back in 2017. But in the first full year they've been taken out, the street has seen almost 30 accidents in a 3-block stretch. Crash victims say they want to see a change.
Nothing does change. I really worry about people. You know, what is it going to take? Somebody dying on the intersection? That could have been me if I hadn't been wearing a seatbelt.
Coming up tonight on News 3 Now at 10, Rock County reporter Adam Duxter is presenting crash data to city engineers who have plans to remove even more stoplights.
New research shows marijuana users still show signs of impairment when they get behind the wheel even after they sober up. A study from medical journal Drug and Alcohol Dependence had heavy users of marijuana take at least 12 hours at least after exposure to the drug. In the test, they found users drove just as bad after sobering up as they did when they were high. This is something law enforcement agencies in Rock County have been monitoring since recreational marijuana was legalized across the border in Illinois at the beginning of this year.
An area health department says it's seeing a spike in opioid overdose cases. Sauk County hospitals have treated 6 non-fatal overdoses since the start of December. The health department says a high number in such a short time frame could mean that there's a really strong batch of illegal drugs in the area that's causing those overdoses. The health department is urging residents to get trained in recognizing and responding to overdoses.
6:35 right now, a Wisconsin charity is looking for the owner of an important piece of jewelry this morning.
A resale store for the Sunshine House in Sturgeon Bay says it found an old ring with a World War II veteran logo. The organization thinks the ring was donated by mistake, so workers want to make sure it's returned to its rightful owner. The charity's post online has been shared hundreds of times so far. Anyone claiming to be the owner will need to provide information about what the ring looks like when they come to reclaim it.
Hopefully that will be a good return there.
I love old history stories
I do too.
like that.
6:35 right now. Coming up in the morning sprint, the U.S. and China have made a preliminary trade agreement that's sure to make farmers happy.
But first, we're telling you why the CDC says romaine could be back on the menu despite a recall. This is when News 3 Now This Morning returns.
The Deal.
Welcome back. If you are still going strong on your New Year's diet, good news, romaine is back on the menu.
The CDC says the E. coli outbreak linked to romaine lettuce from California's Salinas Valley is officially over. That outbreak infected a total of 167 people, including some here right in Wisconsin. Almost half of those cases led to hospitalizations, and 15 people suffered from kidney failure, but unfortunately, no deaths were reported.
That lasted a while, that recall.
That really did.
All right, before you head to the gym this morning, listen to this. It might be making you sick. Sounds like an excuse, but studies show the gym is a breeding ground for illnesses like the cold and flu. The biggest culprits, handles on things like ellipticals, treadmills, and bikes. So here's your reminder, be sure to wipe down any equipment you use beforehand and bring your own towel so you know it's cleaned.
The amount of hand sanitizer I use at the gym is
smart man. All right, trending this morning, here's a question you're going to want to sound off on. Are beards attractive to women?
Might depend on who you ask, but a new study from the Royal Society of Open Science Journal found that very masculine faces and those with beards were rated more attractive than clean-shaven faces.
Amen.
Leah loves a bearded man. However, scientists have found that women who are repulsed by the idea of lice, fleas, or ticks are less likely to find beards attractive.
You're just trying to ruin it for me, aren't you?
They say it could be because of the evolutionary fear that those insects carry diseases.
Gross. Okay, so that has us wondering, what's your preference? We're talking about it this morning in our morning poll over on the News 3 Now Facebook page.
Wow, this is very much in the middle. Right now, 53% of you say beards are a go, while the other 47% say a clean shave is best.
Almost 500 votes there. I will say the beard is slightly ahead, Josh.
Just a little bit.
You
There's
don't
still
mind
time.
beards.
I don't mind. I was telling you earlier, I like a beard if it's soft, but I don't like because it's just kind of rough.
And you yourself, you wear a little bit of a scruff.
I kind of do that during the winter time just because I feel like it keeps me warmer, but I don't think it really does.
No shave November, my favorite time of year.
Yeah, no shave January. Is that a thing?
By all means, implement it.
Well, be sure to head to our Facebook page to make sure your voice is heard and let us know where you stand.
All right, 6:41 your time now. While you're on Facebook, why don't you send us a photo of your morning? That's what Don did. He snapped this photo while I assume on vacation in Maine.
Yeah, this is an incredible shot. I was going to say, this is definitely not Lake Monona this morning.
We needed a break from the snow and ice, taking a little vacation spot here.
There's some sunshine for Hattie. She's been missing it.
She has been. There you go, Hads. Thanks for sharing, Don.
If you've got a morning picture, please send it to us over on our Facebook page so Lee and I can share our favorites right here every morning.
All right, negative wind chills this morning and perhaps a little bit of sun might be a sign of what's to come. Hattie's tracking a winter storm that's bringing some alert days to the weekend forecast before we see a stretch of sun and cold.
But first, it is January 16th, and we want to say happy birthday to Penny and all the other kids turning 3 today. Thanks for watching News 3 Now this morning.
For a forecast that keeps your family safe, watch First Alert Weather. Look who's
Good morning from the News 3 Now First Alert Weather Center. Take a look at the view from the Capitol behind me thanks to our Edgewater Skycam. Skies are clear here across southern Wisconsin. We're also seeing a little bit of light on the horizon as well from our WISC-TV sky camera. So nice to see the sunshine early this morning. Temperatures, though, are cold. Under those clear skies, temperatures have really tumbled the last couple of hours. 7 here in Madison. It's only 1 degree above 0 in the Dells. Even colder than that in Prairie du Chien. Forecast temperature right now is 2 degrees below 0. When you factor in the winds, it feels much colder. This is a look at the current wind chill readings here for southern Wisconsin. Single digits from Madison and points to the east below 0. Double digits, though, below 0 to the west. Your wind chill forecast today is pretty darn cold any way you look at it. By lunchtime, wind chills will still be below 0 for southern Wisconsin. It'll be feeling like 2 below here in Madison. Wind chills will climb into positive territory for a couple of hours during the afternoon. Here's 5 p.m., so when you head home from work, feeling like it's in the single digits above 0. Wind chills quickly drop back into negative territory, though, as we head through the evening. We do have alert days in the forecast. Once we get through the cold temperatures today, we turn our attention to a storm system for tomorrow. Now, snow is expected to develop during the afternoon. Confidence is increasing that we're likely going to see a mix of precipitation overnight Friday into early Saturday for parts of southern Wisconsin. Total accumulation 2 to 6 inches. Now, the National Weather Service in La Crosse has already issued winter storm watches for southwestern Wisconsin in advance of this particular storm system. Here's a look at your future track snow potential. Keep in mind these numbers will likely change several times in between now and Saturday morning. But again, we're generally looking at 2 to 6 inches for southern Wisconsin. Higher snow totals to the north and west, where they're not looking for any rain to mix in. Now, here's a look at your weather track. Satellite and radar combined. Skies have cleared for most of the state this morning, so at least we have the sunshine. Here in southern Wisconsin, we'll take anything that we can get to warm things up today. Northwesterly winds are not helping this morning. They will be diminishing through the afternoon. Temperatures by lunchtime right around 10 for southern Wisconsin, only topping around 15 here in Madison this afternoon, so much colder than it was yesterday. Skies will remain clear through the evening hours and temperatures will once again drop pretty quickly. Here's that extended forecast. We have alert days for Friday and Saturday with that snow moving in as well as some mixed precipitation. Heading into next week, the weather forecast looks much quieter, but pretty darn cold. Nighttime lows drop below 0 for a couple of nights. Here's a look at our pet walk forecast. This is Cooper in Edgerton. What a happy dog.
What an
Cooper
athlete.
likes the snow, yeah.
That's true. Yeah, a little cold for the walk today, so maybe make it a little shorter. Temps to only be in the teens.
All right. Thank you very much, Addie.
You're welcome.
Morning Sprint is up next. Stick around.
It's
6:51, time for the morning sprint as we get you everything you need to know on your Thursday morning.
Patty has the latest on a very cold morning, but we start in Washington this morning where Chief Justice John Roberts will swear in senators as jurors in the impeachment trial of President Trump today. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi signed a resolution sending the 2 articles of impeachment to the Senate. The House voted largely along party lines to deliver the articles that approve 7 Democrats as impeachment managers. They will serve as prosecutors in the Senate trial set to begin in earnest early next week.
A new Marquette Law School poll shows Joe Biden as the top choice among Wisconsin's primary voters. 23% picked the former vice president, 19% chose Bernie Sanders, and 15% chose Pete Buttigieg. However, 60% of Democratic primary voters say there is still a chance they could change their mind.
President Trump and China are signing a preliminary trade agreement, which includes a commitment from China to substantially increase the amount of goods and services it buys from America. That includes billions of dollars in agricultural purchases over the next 2 years. Current tariffs on Chinese products will remain in place for the time being.
A veto by Governor Eavers will stand despite efforts from Republican lawmakers. The bill in question would have lessened the number of training hours needed to become a nursing assistant from 120 to 75. Republicans said the change would have helped with a shortage in the field. Democrats argue it would impact quality of care. 3 Democrats would have had to side with Republicans for that veto to be overruled.
We're starting with clear skies this morning. Here's the view from the Queen Bee Radio Skycam in Platteville. It is a very chilly start to the day, though. Wind chills are below 0 in most locations this morning, so bundle up as you head out the door. Your wind chill forecast through the day today calls for wind chills to stay below 0 through about 1 o'clock this afternoon, climbing barely above 0 through the afternoon hours.
Thank you, Hattie. We're learning of another incident at Jefferson Middle School this morning. In an email to parents, Assistant Principal Larry Love says that there was a conflict between 2 students at school yesterday, and he wants to be as transparent as possible. Emergency responders were called, and you'll recall Jefferson Middle School was at the center of an incident where 2 students were shot with a BB gun by one of their peers.
Board members from the Beloit School District will hold a special meeting today to discuss the potential resignation of their superintendent. New details surfaced about Dr. Stanley Monroe and his behavior towards staff and administration. Should he be out of his position today, it's not clear who would take his place in an interim role.
The search for the next superintendent of Madison schools is drawing to a close. We've now heard from 2 of the finalists for the position, Dr. Matthew Gutierrez along with Dr. Marguerite Vanden Wingard, who have both spoken with families at East High about their vision. Tonight at 6, you'll hear from Dr. George Eric Thomas at La Follette High School about his plans.
Ice fishers, you're going to want to make sure to throw out any fish you catch from Lake Monona and Starkweather Creek. A recent DNR sampling found elevated levels of PFAS in fish tissue and surface water at those locations. The DNR says the more contaminated fish you eat, the higher your risk for health problems.
We're expecting to learn more about what led up to 26 arrests at a drug bust here in Wisconsin. They're accused of being part of a drug distribution network that was taken down by federal and local law enforcement in Milwaukee. According to a 231-page criminal complaint, distributors would receive packages of cocaine from Puerto Rico and supply it to people in Milwaukee to sell. A press conference on those arrests starts at 9 o'clock this morning.
Sauk County hospitals say they're seeing a spike in opioid overdose cases. They've treated 6 non-fatal overdoses since the start of December. The health department says the high number in such a short time frame could mean that there's a very strong batch of illegal drugs in the area that's causing those overdoses. The health department is now urging residents to get trained in recognizing and responding to overdoses.
Dane County deputies are working to track down the driver involved in a hit and run that killed a 26-year-old Mount Horeb man. It happened on County Highway JG just south of Bergham Road in the town of Blue Mounds. Witnesses reported seeing the victim running in the area moments before the crash. As of this morning, police don't have a vehicle description.
The U.S. Virgin Islands is filing a lawsuit against the estate of Jeffrey Epstein. The lawsuit alleges the multimillionaire sex offender used his private islands in the territory to traffic and abuse girls for nearly 2 decades. Prosecutors want to confiscate hundreds of millions of dollars, as well as 2 private islands. They're valued at $86 million.
The wet weather is improving the air quality in Melbourne, Australia this morning, but forecasters aren't sure if the rain falling where it's needed most or whether there will be enough for it to make a difference. So far, there hasn't been enough rain to put out the Australia fires, and there's a risk that lightning could spark new ones. The NSW tweeted that while the rain won't put them all out, they'll go a long way towards containing them.
All right, 6:56 your time on this Thursday. Let's turn it over to Stacey K with a look at your first alert traffic. How's it looking out there, Stacey?
Not too bad yet, but volume is starting to increase now on the westbound side of the Beltline, especially between Stoughton and Monona. John Nolan is getting busier now at the Rimrock, Olin, and North Shore Drive intersections. And other main routes heading into Madison, they are moving along. No crashes or delays at this time. With your first alert traffic, I'm Stacey K.
Thank you, Stacy. Time to locate the sunglasses as you head out the door this morning. Skies are clear. Sun comes up at 7:25 this morning. It is going to be cold, though. That sun isn't going to warm us up too much. We're talking high temperatures only in the teens as we head through the afternoon. Wind chills will be even colder, so bundle up today. Our extended forecast does have 2 alert days in it for Friday and Saturday. We're talking snow spreading in tomorrow afternoon, changing to a mix overnight, and then coming to an end on Saturday.
Keeping an eye on that snow system. Thank you very much, Hattie.
And thank you for joining us. Go make it a great day, everyone. Stay warm, and we'll see you back here tomorrow morning.